So today I want to show you how I use Trello as a Diag. Trello is a website or an app, and there are several others that can be used as well, but it is essentially a kanban system. Kanban is a project management or workflow system, really aimed at increasing productivity and limiting your work in progress, limiting that multitasking piece. So when we are looking at that work in progress part, it's hard as a Diag because we are not completely in control of how many evaluations we have at one time. I used to use just a checklist that was in each student's folder, but I switched over to this Trello Kanban system a few years ago. Now, in the most simple form, you're looking at having a list that is your backlog or your brain dump, and then you're having lists that would be like, this is what I'm working on right now. It's my work in progress. And again, that's limited. Evaluations are complex and there's so many different steps that go into them. But I've still, even though I don't use it in maybe the most traditional way, I have found a way that this just really helps me know where I am. And I know we've got spreadsheets, and I love a spreadsheet, but being able to have something like this, it really takes it to the next level. A Kanban system doesn't have to be online or electronic, but as a Diag, I do highly recommend that just because you are able to have it wherever you are available for you to look at your cases. So let's take a look at what this looks like in action. So this is the consent prep board, but you can see over here on the left that I have a board for art prep, for evaluations, for reads, and also for some home personal stuff. We've played around with using this a little bit at home as well. I have a template card here. The template card allows me to create a list of each action step and then automatically have them added to a card. So my account is a paid account. I did that after using Trello, the free version, at least probably a couple of years before I decided to go all in and get a paid account. And I got the paid account because it will let me automate things. And so up here under automation, it allows you to set all of these rules, and you get only a small amount free per month. I wouldn't necessarily recommend getting the paid version right off the bat unless you know for sure, like, I love this and I love that automation. But if you play around with it a little bit and you really like it, then to me, I feel like it's a steal. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to add a card, and I'm going to make it for a fake student. I always use initials. My cat's name is Duffy, so I'm going to put DEC for Duffy Cat. Make a little card here for him. I have these custom fields set up, so this is the next place that I would head with mine. I'm going to say that he goes to campus number 1. I have them color coded though, so that I can very quickly see. You can see here in the background, it shows up on the front of the card as well. We're going to say that this is an initial evaluation. And so now you can see that it automatically added in this list, and you can see how those color coding fields show up there on the front of the card. We use Frontline in the district where I've been working, and so all of these screens and everything, this is all designed for Frontline. Okay, so the card is now in the ready to schedule consent list. So I mentioned, I think, that I do time blocking or task batching, however you want to put that. So now I'm in my block of time where I'm emailing all the parents. So I'm going to just simply check off here. I've contacted them. As soon as the parent emails me back, then I can go in, I can add in those dates of when I'm actually sending it to the parent. And so now that I've actually got that part done and moving it over here to the consent scheduled, I actually could have moved it there first. It doesn't matter. I could also make an automation to get that, moved over as soon as I click one of these boxes, or, however I want to do that. It really doesn't matter. The point is that we are moving along here toward being completed. It's sitting there in the list for consent scheduled. Once I meet with the parent, I am sending them the forms. I'm meeting with parents by phone. I'm sending the forms in Adobe. So I've clicked that off now, and my card here is now in the waiting for consent. But I do like to add the due date to the card, but let's just pretend that this report is due on October 25th. I would put in, my consent date as well. Again, you don't have to do any of these steps. You can do whatever works for you. I like putting it in. This is a faster way for me to look at the consent date. So I've got those two check boxes on here. That's just a personal thing there. And so this card's going to disappear. And that is because I have one of those automations set up where it moves it automatically over to, not really sure what happened, why that card disappeared for a minute, but it eventually showed back up where it is supposed to be, which is now in my evaluation board because I've got consent. And so again, have that automation set where it automatically moved it into the next step of the process. And so it's showing up here, and you see again, I've got template cards that are ready to go, and it would work its way through this through the steps in this system. And once the report is completed, it is going to then move over into the ARD prep, where I've got those lists also ready to go. So I do want to show you one other thing that I have on here though. Checklist item here for checking for writing skills, faxes, dysgraphia, adding those lists in. So you see here in additional info, I have that. I have one for dysgraphia, and then I have a fax. I can add those lists over here with buttons. So again, these are things that I have personally created. So if I add the rating scale, you see it populates here, and it adds this particular list. The reason that I like having it populate here in the custom field is that then you can use the filter setting, and you can type in like rating, and you see, okay, I've got one card that has that field marked on it. Again, so for fax, I don't happen to have one right now, but it makes it easier to search using that filter function if you have it put in the custom fields. And so again, if you are using a time blocking method where you're like, okay, I've got this 30-minute chunk of time that I set aside, and I am going to send rating scales, find out who needs a rating scale sent, and so forth. And so it just really helps with that piece. And again, this has just been a quick overview, obviously, but I do hope that you found it helpful, and please check back for more Diag hacks soon.